All right. Well, certainly thank you everyone for coming and joining us, the CEO Forum, for this professor panel to talk about opportunities to launch the Entrepreneur in You at Rutgers. I'd like to first introduce Dean Doug Miller. He's the Associate Professor and Associate Dean for MBA programs at Rutgers. His research on corporate strategy has been published in leading management journals covering such topics as diversification, vertical integration, managing technological resources, and acquisitions and development of new capabilities. We have Professor Mukesh Patel, who is a serial entrepreneur and executive board advisor with experience in private equity, venture capital, innovation, and technology. He designs and teaches interdisciplinary and experiential courses at Rutgers Business School, Law School, and School of Engineering. He is a 3-time TEDx speaker and has presented keynotes at prestigious conferences. Professor Lanier Richardson is an assistant professor of professional practice and executive director of the Center of Urban Entrepreneurship and Economic Development. Lanier is the former CEO of Brick City Development Corporation, where he had overall responsibility for real estate development, small business services, and business attraction in Newark. Professor Doug Brownstone is the assistant professor of professional practice and the director of the MBA Business Plan Case Competition. He's also a corporate consultant with expertise in business strategy and innovation at multinational companies, and he leverages his corporate experiences from Procter & Gamble, J&J, Novartis, and several other leading organizations. Professor Leon Fraser is the assistant professor of professional practice as well, interim CEO and state director of New Jersey Small Business Development Centers. He has a joint appointment as managing director of Rutgers Business School Executive Education, faculty advisor to the Road to Consulting program, and committee chair of the annual Business Committee Engagement Symposium. Our moderators are Joyce Jones, who is our executive director of finance, and Maria Henkel, who's our founder and president of the CEO Forum. With that, I'd like to pass it on to Joyce. And Joyce, I'm sorry, everyone's was muted, so if you could just unmute.
There, hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Professors, thank you for giving us your time. Prospective students, we hope this is going to be a wonderful program for you to understand what Rutgers has to offer. And with that, I'm going to lead into Professor Miller to open it up to introduce RBS.
Thank you, Joyce and Ryan. Very glad to be here for this session today and appreciate the work of the CEO Forum and its officers. I just wanted to remind people present today or maybe viewing this recording later of a couple of facts about the CEO Forum and its resources. So first of all, the CEO Forum is an independent club. It is our official MBA organization for entrepreneurship. It is not part of the Student Government Association by design, so that we may have alumni members and officers as well. One thing that means is it helps us to be able to continue funding the program, to know how many students are members and not only attending sessions. And so when you registered for today's session, perhaps you saw that there was a button where you could indicate your interest in membership. If you're not yet a member of CEO Forum, please feel free to email me at doug.miller@rutgers.edu, or the officers, or maybe one of them can put in the chat a particular officer of the club that could help you to sign up as a member. We appreciate you doing that. Secondly, I want to clarify that we have funds available in the MBA program for students to take part in competitions and similar career building events. So most typically this would be a case competition where a team of MBA students would participate and we would pay the registration fee and up to $500 in reimbursement for the travel if there is travel involved. We involved more part-time MBA students than ever in these competitions this last year when we plan to continue that. I just want to let those of you who are interested in entrepreneurship know that if you identify a pitch competition or another entrepreneurship-oriented kind of event where it might be possible for you to register and travel, please feel free to contact me or our program office and staff, and we can guide you through whether there are funds available and how to apply for those. We do want to encourage you to take part in those kinds of competitions and events, as well as more standard case competitions. So thanks for this opportunity to update you. I'm going to stay on throughout the conversation, and looking forward to hearing from each of the other professors. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Miller. And now we're going to hear from Professor Mukesh Patel. And each professor will have 10 minutes to give a background of their classes. And 9 minutes into your 10 minutes, we'll a little bell for you, just to let you know the timing. So.
Hello.
Mukesh?
Yes, hi,
Hi.
thank you. Hello, Dean Miller, how are you? It's great to see everyone. Can I share my screen, please?
Absolutely. Give me 1 minute and I'll send it over to you.
All right. So welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to meet both existing students, alumni, and incoming students and faculty, colleagues. This is really fantastic. So I'm just going to share several slides, and I'll put a link to this deck in the chat box afterwards as well. Professor Jeffrey Robinson and I collaborated to kind of put together some resources within the university, as well as I wanted to mention some things outside the university that you should also leverage. So let's start. Rutgers is quickly becoming the rocket ship for entrepreneurship, and we're starting to gain recognition and awards outside the university. We're being recognized nationally and globally in various case competitions. And so initially, I just want to highlight some of the programs and courses that you might want to take advantage of. First is CTEK. It's the Collaborative or the Center for Technology Entrepreneurship and Commercialization. This was initially started at universities in North Carolina, and then it was brought to Rutgers University at RBS. And it's really interdisciplinary, which means that in this program, we have a series of courses, one in the fall, one in the spring. And these courses are for graduate students across all schools within Rutgers University. Half of the students come from RBS, so typically MBAs, masters in business, executive MBAs, PhDs, et cetera. Sometimes there's joint programs like JD MBA, so someone could have a joint degree program. And then the other half of the students come from all the STEM or STEAM schools and programs at the university. That includes all engineering schools and programs, computer science in the School of Arts and Science, medicine. So we've had MDs in this program as well, PharmDs from the pharmacy school. And it's really an incredible opportunity for different disciplines to come together. It's unlike most courses that you have ever taken or will take, even at RBS in the MBA program, in that it's a hands-on, almost like a clinical type of course experience, as opposed to a theoretical book learning type of course. And we start with technologies and patents in the fall. It's called Discovery to Business Models, or TEK, TEC. That's the course in the fall. This course is co-taught by myself and Professor Stephen Say from the School of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. And we have 10 to 12 executive mentors, tech entrepreneurs that have been there, done it, sold their companies, they're investors, angels, or venture capital principals, or they're corporate executives. And we bring them into the course to provide guidance and feedback. We get patents that are provided to us for the purposes of projects in the course from not only Rutgers Tech Transfer Office, called Innovation Ventures now, but also from other universities like Hebrew University in Israel, Athens University in Greece. We're working with some universities in India now, in Singapore, and then even the US Navy. We take these technologies and we develop commercialization plans. So in the fall semester, we go from ideas and patents to business models. In the spring semester, we start with business models and we end up with investable pitch decks and lean business plans to actually be ready to launch as a startup company. And eventually, through those relationships, many of these projects end up being startup companies. And for MBA students and even engineering students, it's fantastic because they can become co-founders in those companies, raise real capital, and launch those companies, which is a fantastic opportunity to bring the real world into an academic institution, but partner with real world strategic partnerships. The next is, if you are involved in a startup company that does not have significant financial resources, in other words, you are either pre-revenue or just early stage minimal revenue, or you haven't raised capital or may have raised capital, but not significant capital. So if you're early stage, you can apply for the Entrepreneurship Law Clinic at Rutgers Law School, both in Newark and Camden, and you will receive, if you qualify, free legal services through not only law students, but also professors of law and partners in major law firms who will provide free legal services for you to launch and get to the next level without expending your financial resources on expensive legal services. So this is another collaborative partnership that I'm the director of CTEK and a director in the Entrepreneurship Law Clinic. And my goal or mission in education is to break down the walls of silos and traditional thinking and increase collaboration across disciplines, across schools, across resources. So this could be a great resource. The next one, this is an undergrad program, but I'm mentioning it for a specific reason. It's called Road to Silicon Valley program. It's for undergrads in the New Brunswick campus right now across all schools, headquartered out of RBS under Dean Lay's programs, flagship programs. And we focus on bringing innovation and tech, entrepreneurship and design skills to students. Now, why is this relevant for MBAs? It's relevant because if you're working on a startup idea and you want to partner with some fantastic rock star undergrad students, maybe as interns, maybe as associates, maybe to help with research, maybe to help enter competitions that you may not qualify for if they're designed for undergrad students, you can now leverage undergrad students to get into case competitions and win prizes and awards for your startup idea. So it's a great partnership. On the flip side, you may want to mentor undergrad students with all of your experience and with your MBAs under your belt or in the progress, and you may want to just give back. So it's a great opportunity for undergrads and grad students to collaborate in unique ways that's not available in many universities. So these are all very unique proprietary flagship programs that you may want to do. Now, through RSVP, we launched CEO Forum, which was kind of a spin-off. So it's an RSVP initiative, and we highly, highly recommend that all of you, if you're not a member, just become a member. It's free. It's access to networks. Part of your MBA education is the academic education, but an important component of it is your strategic empowered networks. So leverage all of these resources to expand your networks 10x, not only within Rutgers, but outside of Rutgers. Then this program is not necessarily for students, it's for anyone launching a tech startup, and if it's co-founded by either a Black, Latinx, or woman, female co-founder, you can qualify. That means you just need one person on your co-founding team that satisfies minority status or underrepresented status. This is what we call our BLT, Black and Latin Tech Accelerator. It's once a year. It's a 45-day accelerator program. and it's run through CUDE, the Center for Urban Entrepreneurship and Economic Development, which you'll hear more about from Lanier Richardson. And we encourage you to apply. The top 2 teams in every annual cohort, we give away $20,000 in grants.
Pardon, Professor.
Yes.
About a minute left.
Perfect. Thank you. And then in terms of courses, there's an MBA concentration called TCIE. They're basically 2 tracks: tech entrepreneurship and commercialization, and the innovation and entrepreneurship track. This is just a workflow in terms of how you might want to think about courses for those tracks. And then we have some websites and resources which I will post. And very quickly, these are some of the courses: Managing Growing Ventures, Tech Entrepreneurship and Commercialization, Business Models to Launch, Opportunity Identification and Evaluation, which Jeffrey Robinson and I co-teach. And then there's some MGB elective courses, as well as non-MGB courses. And if you want to petition for something that's not on the list, talk to us. Here's some links and resources. My email is mukesh.patel@rutgers.edu, and my personal website, which has information of all the courses and programs that I run, are profmukeshpatel.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, so feel free to connect. And we're a collaborative university, so let's not just let things happen, let's make things happen. So thank you very much, and keep in touch and connect on LinkedIn. Good luck.
Thank you, Professor Mukesh Patel. That was wonderful. And Adriana and I took a class, the CTEK class with you. So I highly recommend students to check it out if they can. Professor Lanier Richardson, Executive Director of Center for Urban Entrepreneurship and Economic Development. We'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to open up the floor to you now.
Thank you very much. Can I share? I'll do a quick PowerPoint as well. Can I share as well? Let me see. Let's do that. Great. Slideshow from the beginning. Great. So I'll do this, very quickly. I'm pleased to be here. I spend most of my time really advising students on how to think about fostering urban entrepreneurship and economic development. That's the name of the course. The way I really summarize it is seeing opportunity in people and places that other people overlook or undervalue. Right? That's been my life's work, and that's what I'm really excited about. It was introduced. I lead the Center for Urban Entrepreneurship at Rutgers Business School. I'll talk a little bit about it. I'm also CEO of a social enterprise. We have about $17 million of capital that we've invested. We own about $20 million of assets. We're continuing to grow it. I've led economic development in Newark and started my career as a bank lawyer. I bring all of that to the class to help students sort of think about it. Our Center for Urban Entrepreneurship really focuses on fostering entrepreneurial thinking. And that's what this class really is about: how to think about opportunities in communities and how to help racially diverse, underserved entrepreneurs get to the next level by leveraging the resources of Rutgers. Again, our university is a special place because it makes space, equipment, and resources, including the MBA student talent, available to entrepreneurs with the goal of helping them grow and to helping them revitalize ethnic, urban, and underserved communities. Part of the cool thing about the class is the students get an opportunity for 6 weeks. There's 6 weeks of lectures, and there's 6 weeks of consulting opportunities where students work hand to hand with entrepreneurs, doing research, providing advice, helping entrepreneurs connect with customers and with capital, as well as, again, the goal of fostering entrepreneurs in urban and ethnic and underserved places. All types of research: first generation entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs. We've had some international folks who are working on projects in Africa, church entrepreneurship programs. So this is really for folks who want to get their hands dirty. I spend the first class talking about what urban really means in the class. There's 1,000 definitions. For us, it's about helping resource-constrained individuals. It's about improving quality of life and quality of place. safety, and it's about sort of measuring economic impact over time. Urban, I define as well as, places of great density and diversity, how communities change. You see them as hubs of economic activity, of job growth, but you also see the inequities in urban places, and the whole goal of understanding density and how densities affect communities. I also talk about entrepreneurship. And again, in our class, there's a specific niche and lane of entrepreneurship that I really focus on. And it's, from my vantage point, entrepreneurship is really about adding something of value to the world and hopefully creating an asset that will take care of you, take care of the entrepreneur at some point. So this activity of setting up a business with the hope of making a profit, that mindset of creating value and finding opportunities and even pursuing opportunities without regard to resources, right? How do you generate resources when you have no, when you're starting out from scratch, and when you're starting out in many instances without family wealth and historic, ability to raise capital from friends and family. We talk about gigging and moonlighting and all of the types of entrepreneurship, but also economic growth and economic development. This focus on what does it mean when you talk about economic development? How do you define it? Quality of life, safety in communities, growth of economies as a result of entrepreneurs, and the need for more entrepreneurship. That's the first 6 weeks of the course. We use Newark, New Jersey as the context for the course, right? 350-year-old city, almost 300,000 residents, poised for revitalizations. We see that. We see the assets, the airport, the universities, the transit systems, and other resources in the communities, and the importance of our anchor institutions that are driving growth. This focus on distress, right? So there's tech entrepreneurs, there's growth, but our focus is how do you help entrepreneurs improve a community, reduce poverty, reduce crime, deal with vacant and blighted buildings, get investment in areas that lack investment. Intentionally inclusive. Well, we learned 2020, and it became crystal clear to me, 2020, the political pandemonium year, right? And so that work of helping entrepreneurs and helping people intentionally do inclusive economic development and inclusive growth is something we spend a lot of time on. Black entrepreneurship, accessing capital, and things of that sort. We talk about barriers, the institutional barriers, the social barriers that people have to overcome to start businesses. And then all types of strategy to attract investment, why entrepreneurship is important as a poverty solution, how to get capital, real estate development, my passion and expertise, how real estate development and real estate entrepreneurship impacts urban communities as well. And then I threw some examples up here. We run the Entrepreneurship Pioneers Initiative, which has now helped over 200 first-generation entrepreneurs create businesses and grow businesses. Our Newark Business Hub, which works with creative entrepreneurs, filmmakers, bloggers, videographers. Professor Patel mentioned our technology ventures and accelerator programs and capital access programs. These are what our entrepreneurs look like. These are people of color who are growing businesses that benefit from student consulting teams of Rutgers entrepreneurs, helping them think about strategic growth. They're so busy running their business that typically they don't have time to think about how to grow the business strategically. And that's the value that our MBA students can bring to them. So first half of the week, we're in the classroom. The second half of the week, you're working shoulder to shoulder with entrepreneurs. This is our creative entrepreneurship program, the Business Hub. We had Queen Latifah help us one year. We have now had some success. First, entrepreneurs, getting capital, getting corporate support for them. We've helped over 600 entrepreneurs. Almost 80% are still operational. They've created jobs. They've created new revenues. Our big goal for our center, and our MBA students help us, is we really want to help 1,000 urban entrepreneurs reach at least $1 million a year in revenue. And for all you math majors, 1,000 times a million is $1 billion of economic impact. So that's our big, sort of battle cry. Can we help at least $1 million a year in revenue? We now have over 160 of them that have achieved that goal, and we continue along that path. And as many of you know, $1 million is just the threshold. It's not the end all be all, but it's the first time that there's true customer validation. Hopefully there's some owner's comp. Hopefully owners can hire 1 or 2 employees and really start to talk to banks and venture capitalists about growth capital to help them grow. Our real estate work, I use my work in Chicago and now in Baltimore as case studies of how real estate development and commercial corridor development that's intentionally led by people of color, that really empowers people of color to own and drive commercial real estate development, is something that we spend time on. I'm excited about as well. I talk about our tools of data, of deal making, and flexible capital, equity I call it, debt and flexible equity capital to help entrepreneurs grow. And there are all type of companies that you'll see: art incubators, tech companies, retail stores. We'll talk about some of the buy local work in Newark, entrepreneurship for formerly incarcerated individuals, and many others. So I ran through that very quickly because I wanted to give you an overview of the course. But this is a place where there's an intellectual component for 6 weeks, a real, almost a boot camp of reading. But then in the next 6 weeks, there's really, you spend time with the entrepreneurs, and I guide the consulting projects so that at the end you make a presentation and you deliver something truly of value to entrepreneurs in Newark, in New Jersey, many of which are entrepreneurs of color or women who are aiming to grow companies in urban areas. So I'll stop sharing there. Thank you for the opportunity to present, and I look forward to talking to you all going forward.
The timing was perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you, Professor Richardson. And what a wonderful program, $1 million impact. That's an awesome, one of the many goals that you have, and that's pretty awesome. So now we'll move on to Doug Brownstone, who is a marathon runner, and he also runs marathons at Rutgers.
All right, thanks. I'm going to share my screen here. Hold on a minute. Right there. Okay, good. My screen up okay here? Yep, okay. Yep. So first of all, I want to say that I have big shoes to fill. These last 2 professors are very profound and are doing a lot of great things for Rutgers. So I do appreciate hearing that from time to time. I just want to talk to you about a couple of programs that I think would be interesting to you. The Rutgers Annual Business Plan Competition, which I think you should all really take a look at, and the team consulting program that we have. So every year for over 20 years now, we run I run the annual business plan competition. We give away $45,000 in cash to people that send in a business plan. And over the past 20 years, it's been over $1 million that have gone directly to students. Send in your business plan. The top 3, the top 5 or so will get picked, and then we'll do like a Shark Tank type environment, and then we award out the money. Last couple of years ago, Juan Salinas, a fellow MBA student of yours, won this competition, and he was able to fund his business for creating healthy snacks for children. And then October of this past year, he went on Shark Tank, and he won $400,000 for his factories to get those going under Mark Cuban. So he's actually a Mark Cuban company now. If you guys can look for Juan Salinas last October on Shark Tank, it was one of the most electrifying presentations that I've seen. So it's definitely worth your while to find that out. Anyway, so as far as this competition is concerned, all you need to do in September or by September, just send in a 1-page executive summary on your business. I'll take a look at it, give you some comments, and then if you want to proceed along, you can then send me your business plan, and then we'll put you into the competition. But very good competition. And so I look forward, if any questions at all about it, just email me, let me know. So I just want to tell you about the other program. So I run a class that many MBAs or most MBAs will end up taking. The official name is called Integrated Business Applications. We call it the team consulting class. And just want to tell you a little bit about it if you're not familiar with it. So we take the MBA students, we put them in teams of 5, and it's really experiential learning at its core. It's good for companies because we really give them recommendations that they sometimes don't see because they're so close to the business. It's great for the students because you're going to work on a real world project that a company is currently working on. And I'll show you the companies in a minute that we're working on. So this is something that they're very interested to hear about. We give them an outside objective learning, which is very, very good. And it's experiential learning. So let me just give you an example here of some of the clients we're working on with this semester. So for example, Goldman Sachs, we have a team of 5 MBAs on that. They asked us under sustainability to create the Goldman Sachs ESG index. What they want to do when they're selling all their offerings, they want to be able to put an ESG value on it. If it really fits into environmental or social or governance, how well does that product that they have fit with that? So our students went ahead and created the Goldman Sachs ESG index this last semester. For J&J, they wanted to get our perspective on becoming more sustainable. I mean, it's so important. What can we think of that could help? BlackRock, for example, they asked us to develop a strategy to make ESG investment products relative to upcoming investors. So BlackRock is a great company that serves the public, but millennials and Gen Z just are not interested or aware of BlackRock. So how can we give them investment products that Gen Z would like? Prudential, they said they came to us at Rutgers and said, we're great at selling life insurance in the US, but we're not good at selling life insurance outside the US. What's the plan? And Johnson & Johnson, I'll just give you one more example. They own 30,000 cars in the world for their executives and sales reps. But in this Uber and Lyft and COVID environment, should they be owning 30,000 cars? What's the strategy? How can they move people around the world much more efficiently? So just, ideas like that. United States Air Force says we're getting less and less recruits every year. How do we increase the number of recruits? But these are just interesting projects that our teams, I thought, have done just great jobs, giving recommendations. Just one more, the Newark Public Library came to us and said, nobody goes to the library anymore, right? Why would people go to the library? You just look on the internet, right? And you have it in 2 seconds. And that was a project that we did, how to attract people to come into the library again. So interesting project. So as you look on your schedules, keep in mind, this is a very interesting class, and it's got entrepreneurial parts to it. Hemisphere is a small company that we worked with. They were trying to launch a new vitamin. They said they would have been unsuccessful with their own efforts, but we came in with some really great programs, marketing programs, social media programs to help launch it. There's another startup company called Suitable You. And we gave them our thoughts on how to pitch the company, how to fund the company. And they said they're using that to help get the company going. So some really good things there. For example, Joyce Jones was one of my star students. If you remember Joyce, we had a client, Pitney Bowes, that does a lot of mailing, and Joyce and her team actually thought out of the box and came up with ideas. If you remember Joyce, that Pitney Bowes had just not thought about, because they're so close to the business that they thought were very valuable. And that's the idea. How can we increase the competitive advantage of these companies that we're working with? So again, if you have any questions on the business plan competition at all, let me know. If you have any questions about this course I talked about, here's my email address, and be very happy to talk to anybody about any one of these things. So
thank you, Professor Brownstone. And yeah, great class. And it was a great opportunity to work directly with the executives at a huge corporation like Pitney Bowes. So definitely recommend students checking that out. Now, we have Professor Leon Fraser, another professor I took a class with and absolutely loved. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Professor Fraser.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here. Just two quick observations. One is, you may not have noticed, but all four professors and the dean are from the best department, Department of Management and Global Business.
That's
we
true.
can make things happen.
True.
That's why we're here. Okay. Also, I wanted to, as I'm looking at the names, I want to give a shout out to friends, alumni, and students: Nirmala, Elvira, Pooja, Joyce, Michael, Marcia, Maria, Leon, Vox. I'm so pleased that you're here today to get all this wisdom. So I teach the course Management Consulting, and I also teach Executive Leadership, Managing Teams. You got a snippet of my background before, but let me just elaborate a little bit. I've been in corporate America most of my career, actually, including as strategy director of Verizon. I was vice president of marketing at a global technology startup, so I understand that business. I'm a small business owner myself. I do consulting and executive coaching, and to be more relevant to the conversation today, I was the chief executive officer of the New Jersey Small Business Development Centers. My message today, and I guess it's implicit in what you've heard so far, is that you don't have to make the entrepreneurship journey alone. You don't have to do it alone. Too often we glorify entrepreneurs as geniuses. We say they're mission-driven prophets, okay? And you may have heard the phrase, I alone can fix it. Who has said that? So it doesn't have to be that way, and quite frankly, it shouldn't be that way. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're all business owners and you self-diagnose a problem of your business. And you say, well, I'm not selling enough stuff. I need more marketing. And you try to do some marketing stuff, but it isn't working out the way you intended. So what do? You say, okay, I'll give a consultant a shot. So you say to the consultant, my sales are down, I need more marketing. And well, let's pretend the consultant is me. And I say, okay, I get that. Yeah, we can do some marketing, but do you mind if I ask you a few questions before we do that? And you say, well, sure, why not? So I can ask you, well, have you tested your product to see if all of the product features actually work? Have you talked to customers to see if they're satisfied with your customer service? Have you had any supply chain issues that have created shortages of your product on store shelves? So if you don't do those things, is spending more money on advertising going to help you increase your sales? So by having this second opinion helps. And this is what we try to do in the course Management Consulting. We want to know, how can you diagnose the root cause of a problem? If you have a headache and you take a Tylenol, you feel better, well, that's okay. But have you really addressed the root cause of why you're having a headache or these headaches? That's what it's all about. And when you think about the presentations that my colleagues have made before me, Professor Patel specified that he provides business mentors. Professor Richardson talks about how he has these experts coming into his programs week after week to give advice. Professor Brownstone's course is centered around teams that help people. So you don't have to let your ego get in the way. You can have a business partner, you can have a business mentor, you can have a business consultant. And as it turns out, Rutgers sponsors something called the New Jersey Small Business Development Centers, which is a no-cost or low-cost resource that is here for you. So I was supposed to mention a resource, and that's it. You can go to the website njsbdc.com, New Jersey Small Business Development Centers. Again, low cost, no cost, and it will help you out. In fact, Leon Vox, who's on now, is there as well. So thank you. I was brief. I have no presentation, but I think we're back on time. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Fraser. And I believe we have an SBA office at the New Brunswick campus, right on campus.
It's a Small Business Development Center office. It's not
Yeah.
SBA. So
Right,
New Jersey
sorry.
Small Business Development Centers get some funding from SBA. But right, there's one on the New Brunswick campus and there's one on the Newark campus. When you go to the website, njsbdc.com, you'll see all of the different county offices as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Professor Fraser. So that wraps it up with our amazing professors. And thank you again for giving us your time. So we're collaborative, inclusive. We are committed to developing our communities. Wonderful, wonderful presentation. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our other moderator, Maria, and she's going to be taking some questions from students and alumni and others that are that have listened. Maria?
Hi, thank you, Joyce. Thank you for moderating, and thank you to all the professors. This was so engaging. I actually learned a lot, even being an alumni from the MBA program. I was not able to take classes with all of you, and there's just not enough time to choose all these wonderful electives. But I think this is a good opportunity for a lot of our incoming students or current students to see what they might be missing out on. I think a lot of times people don't really know what's available. And so this is a really good time to kind of pick these professors' brains. I mean, you don't always, you know, we're not on campus all the time to be able to just see somebody in the hall and be like, hey, what about this? Or what does your class do about that? And I know Nirmala was asking earlier, I don't know if you wanted to open it up to the whole group, but if you wanted to unmute yourself and ask about the technology component in CTEK.
Professor Mukesh?
Yeah, so Nirmala had asked about, do you have to have a tech background to participate in CTEK? The answer is no, you do not. That's the whole purpose and benefit of programs like this, is to bring tech acumen to you, give you that foundational principle, and then introduce you to tech co-founders or how you can leverage technology in your business. We like to say that almost every industry and every company is impacted through technology or is tech-enabled these days. Just look at what's happening in digital transformation globally in every sector. And so you do not have to have a tech background. In fact, we want to encourage people with all different backgrounds to collaborate in these courses and programs.
Yes, and actually I took CTEK last semester and the semester before. It was a wonderful experience, and it really created a very balanced team. We had people that have different tech backgrounds and different disciplines. We had business students that really created a well-rounded approach to creating it, and I learned a lot. I will say it's a lot of work. One of the classes that require the most amount of time, and I think it holds very true. You get out what you put in, and what happens is people become very engaged in the process, much more so than a lot of the classes I've taken. And I haven't taken yet the other entrepreneurship classes. I just started getting into it, and so I'm excited to try out other ones in the specialization.
And although it's a lot of work, like Ryan said, we've actually had Joyce and Ryan and Elvira and many of you on this call in one of these CTEK courses. You can take them in either order. You can take both. You can take one. They're distinct courses, but there's no textbook. There's no memorization, there's no exams. And so it's really a practical course. And we want you to get the experience of what it's like to build a real company.
It was an amazing course. And in the classes that I took, we had a doctor on our team. We had people, electrical engineers who did have a technology background. But like you said, you don't need a technology background. If you have an idea or if you have a passion for entrepreneurship, definitely take the class, take a look at it. And it is a lot of work, but you get what, you get what you put in. And I had so much fun. So I would highly recommend checking.
Great, thank you so much. Great question, Nirmala. We have another question from Anthony. If you'd like to unmute yourself and ask.
Sure. Sure, this is Anthony. Thanks for having this. Really appreciate the insight. Taking a couple of you professors, Professor Richardson and Professor Brownstone. This question is for you, Professor Brownstone. As far as the competition is concerned, is it solely for current MBA students, or can alumni participate as well?
Good question, Anthony. I think, I don't know if this is a question for Dean Miller, or who would know.
Professor Brownstone?
Professor
Yeah,
Brownstone.
so that's a very good question. So it's for RBS students, but it's also for RBS alum equally as well. We've had a couple of alum come in the last couple of years, and they've been great. So please just send in your one-page exec summary, and that will get us going, and I'll discuss it with you.
Excellent, appreciate that, thank you.
Nirmala's also, she was also wondering if it if the CTEK satisfies the capstone requirement. I'm not sure it does, but maybe one of the professors.
Actually, yeah, I can answer that. The fall course does qualify to satisfy the capstone requirement. The spring course in this sequence does not currently qualify, but we recommend that students take both if they can. And also I put in the chat that while there are several courses that meet the capstone requirement, you're not restricted to only take one. If you like experiential team-based learning, you can take more than one in your MBA career.
Good to know. Okay, and then we also had a question about Matul had asked if you started a course last fall, what requirements are needed to be fulfilled before getting into a case competition? So are you asking about the Rutgers case competition, or just any case competition that is entrepreneurial that perhaps Rutgers would sponsor? If you'd like to unmute yourself and ask, that'd be great.
Sure. So I actually didn't type the message correctly. So I just started the program last fall, and I've taken a few courses, and I'm still taking more courses in finance, marketing, and other courses. So my question is, like, what would be the recommendation to join these case competitions and the CEO forums? I mean, is there a recommendation, like, do I need to take a certain minimum number of courses before I do that? Or if I don't have that knowledge, I can still participate?
I mean, I think you can, but I don't know if any professors want to weigh in their opinions.
I don't believe there's any requirements of having to have passed a certain number of credits to take part in any of the case competitions. These are usually organized by student organizations at other universities. Most of the ones that we participate in are for graduate students only, although some are mixed. And we, last year was my first year in this role, so I'm not sure what was done prior to that, but we put out a calendar of potential events, at least a dozen that we advertised prior to the fall semester beginning. So students could start to think about which of these competitions or challenges they wanted to be a part of. In terms of the business plan competition with Professor Brownstone, as long as you're a current student, it doesn't matter how many credits you've taken, you're eligible for that.
Yep. We just want your ideas coming in, so we're good on that. By the way, Joyce put in the chat box, I believe she put on the Juan Salinas on Shark Tank, the link to that. So I would just say, if you don't do anything else today, just watch it. It's about 8 minutes. It will be worth it to see one of your fellow MBA students in action. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally worth it. So thanks, Professor Brownstone. So any other questions or comments for our professors while we have them captive here? Trying to see if anyone else.
There is one question, Maria, from Mignon. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. It was asked, what would you recommend for activities for a first-year MBA? And my response would be to join the CEO Forum, because we have a lot of events coming up, and we would love to see you there. And definitely we can help you along on your journey at RBS. That would be my first recommendation. But
yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if Marcia's still on the call, but I think after having just finished her first year, she might have some great advice as well. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm still here. Hi, guys. My shameless plug was to put the student organization club list. I'll link it in the chat, but feel free to start reaching out. And then the more you reach out, the more you are aware of the other opportunities available, like based on your interests. So I would say just start reaching out and get connected with folks.
Yeah, great advice. Absolutely. Just get connected, take advantage of all the networking opportunities. Check your Rutgers email, because we send events out through email. Other organizations send events out through email, and then you'll find out how to connect with us on social media and things like that. So the more plugged in you are, the bigger a network you'll build, and you'll really feel part of this MBA community. I think it's a great community, and everyone's very willing to help, supportive. We talk about courses that we like. We talk about projects we're working on. I think it's really awesome. So definitely get plugged in. Anyone else have questions, comments? If not,
if I could follow up on that last question,
sure.
Just a note that all new students, whether full-time or part-time, will have a face-to-face opportunity for orientation this fall. The full-time orientation for new students starts on August 16th, and the part-time orientations, at least the get acquainted portion on campus, will be the last week of August. And after September 1st, when classes begin, we are back on campus. Student organizations have had great success with virtual events over this last year, but they can also start scheduling face-to-face events for on campus or off campus. And we're really looking forward to that.
Oh, that's great news. Good to hear. We weren't really sure what it was going to be like. So I'm sure, especially the people who started last year and haven't actually met in person yet, that's going to be really exciting. So, okay, wonderful. So I think Elvira had put in the chat earlier, maybe she can paste it in again, how you can join CEO Forum and get in touch with us. I'd like to thank all of our professors today and everybody for joining us. If you had any other questions, a lot of them had put their emails in the chat. We're also recording this. We'll have links for it available on YouTube and on LinkedIn. You can follow us on LinkedIn for more upcoming events, and also on Facebook. So we're pretty much everywhere you are, and please keep in touch. Feel free to connect with me. I'm Maria Miranda Henkel, RBS 2020 alum, and so glad that you could join us today. Thanks again.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.